Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. If it's early in the morning there, a very good morning to you. And my name is Edel Govies, and I'm going to be your event host. I'm the managing director of Pure Magic Exhibition and Conference Organizing. And we are so glad to come to you again, once again, this Tuesday with another round, another edition of our very own Webinar Tuesday. Well, if you've just joined us, it's going to be an exciting day. We've got some amazing speakers lined up for you. Today's subject is health and wellness and what is really right for you. We're excited that you could come here and join us this evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again. Before we get started, I would like to spend a couple of moments doing a little bit of ground rules, a little bit of house rules. So if you're ready, let's run through those very, very quickly. On your screens in front of you, you'll find a little bit of a dashboard that GoToWebinars has presented. It's a dashboard that you need to use. Now, you have to understand that this dashboard has a couple of engaging, engaging modules or engaging tabs which you could utilize. One, of course, is the question and answer tab. Now, this is a very, very important tab because this tab allows you to ask those pertinent questions that are very important to you as you're listening into this webinar. So feel free at any point of time as you listen to our speakers, anything that comes to your mind you don't have clarity on or you would like to know more about, please feel free to drop in a question into that question answer tab. At the end of this webinar, towards the end of this webinar, we're going to be running a panel discussion with our speakers. We're going to bring all of them back again. We're going to present in front of them each of those questions that you've asked, of course, permitting, depending on the time that we have left. We try and get those answers for you. Now, in case we do not get all the answers to those questions, we promise you we'll try and share these questions with our speakers and get the answers and have them sent across to you very, very soon. So this way or that, we're going to try our level best to make sure we can get you all those answers that you require to your questions today. The second thing you need to understand is that we have polls. Now, what's a poll? A poll is a way of us understanding if you are with us, if you're engaging, and if you're getting a grip on the subject matter that is being shared. So I'm going to request you, and this is very, very important, I'm going to request you at any point of time to please engage in the poll when you see it up on the screen. It's a very simple model. I will announce the poll, it will pop up on your screen. You just select one of those answers that's most resonant with you, click submit, and we will have your answer. It's as easy as that. Now, in case during this webinar you find you have an issue with audio or with video, it could be because of the internet where you are based. So what you could try and do is, of course, ask everybody else in your home or your office to sort of shut down or stop using or maybe eliminate the use of multiple devices. That will increase your bandwidth and give you better results. And if you still have that problem, you can just exit and come back again and maybe it will work better. So we're just about to get started. We're excited once again that you could be here. And for those of you who joined us a couple of moments earlier, two things you need to remember. Questions, any point of time, always welcome. Type them in your question box, send them across to us. We'll try and get our panelists to answer at the end of the session. Second thing is we're going to run polls all the time. So when we run polls, make sure you participate. And of course, one very important thing, third thing, we've got a handout tab there, and you can download the handouts that has been shared by our speakers so that you can then engage with them in the future. Also, we would encourage you to like us, subscribe, and join us on our Facebook social media pages, Instagram, and on our YouTube page where we tend to run a re-telecast of this in the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get started. And we would like to really, really move on as soon as possible because we've got such amazing, interesting speakers who have lined up, who've come here to share their experience with us. Now, why did we pick a subject like this? Because to quote from Ellie Krieger, she said, a balanced life is like a three-legged stool. Each leg, which is nutrition, fitness, and wellness, is necessary and it supports one another. So we felt that it would be best if we could share our expertise connecting with those who we work with very closely, our partners in the industry. We could come across and share with you tips, tricks, how while you're in lockdown, while you're at home, or while you're slowly coming back to normal, you can apply these suggestions, these tips and tricks from our experts to have better health and better wellness. So we would really want to get started as quickly as possible, and I would like to bring up one of our first speakers this evening, one of a very wonderful, lovely lady. She holds a bachelor's with honors in pharmacology from the University of Aberdeen. I hope I pronounced that right. An MBA in business administration from the University of Leicester, and is a certified integrative nutrition health coach. Of course, all that besides being an international speaker and an entrepreneur. Now, she started her career as a biomedical researcher, and then she went right on into integrative nutrition and health coaching. She currently empowers men and women globally to take control of their health and enables breakthroughs through her programs, her workshops, her blogging, and her classes. Now, Ms. Kiru is an integrative nutrition health coach. She looks at all aspects of a person's health, both physical and mental, including nutrition, wellness, career, relationship, and she helps them transform their lives. All her approaches are through a science-based tools, including unique fasting methods, gut repair, and she's also engaged in diet plans, which has helped many of our clients to reset their health, lose weight, and achieve their fitness goals. Her approaches have led her to work with multiple corporates, top CEOs, housewives, and so many others worldwide. Well, friends, we are excited to have her with us. Please help me welcome on your screens right now our global health coach to kick off our health and wellness webinar this evening, Ms. Kiru Kishore Kumar.
Hi, Errol. Thank you.
Hi, Kiru. It's so amazing to see you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to just go straight into it and let you take over with our audience. All the best.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. And I am super excited to be here today with you guys. And also, I just wanted to start by congratulating all of you who are here today, because, you know, health means the choices that we make. So basically, the fact that you are here today shows that you have taken the first step in choosing health. So I'm super excited to be with you today. And I want to start by reminding you that you have an inner power that's really going to help you prevent this coronavirus. So now that's promising, isn't it? Now we all are going through this pandemic, and we've been going through for the past few months. I know it's no joke at all. You know, although you're doing all these physical precautions, whether wearing the mask or you're actually wearing the gloves and maintaining social distancing, all these are good. But there's something else that we could do to literally strengthen this inner power that we have in order to prevent this infection coming and affecting us. So for the next few minutes, I wanted to bring you the science and the steps that you can follow. So if you're someone sitting there and in fear, or if you're not sure what exactly you should be doing to have stay healthy and prevent this, go and grab a piece of paper and pen and start writing down these steps that I'm about to share with you, because these are the steps that you can literally bring into practice immediately and at no cost to you, of course, wherever you are in this world. And also you can do it with your family and strengthen your immune system so that you can prevent falling ill. So before I jump in, Errol, I've got a poll question, and if I could get your help to put this out, please.
Absolutely. I'm right here. Let's jump into it, and let's roll that poll on the screen. Ash? The question is, can poor diets and habits make one more vulnerable to a coronavirus infection? It's a very simple question with a yes and no answer, and we want to see each and every one of you share with us, what do you think? I mean, it's a no-brainer here, but we just want to know what you think. Can poor diets and habits make one more vulnerable to a coronavirus infection? Brilliant. I can see a lot of you have begun to vote. You're getting the feel of this. This is excellent. Reach out for your keypads. punch in your recommendation. Is it a yes or a no? Whatever you think is right, and click the submit button. That's all you need to do, and we will be able to share that result with Miss Kiru in a couple of moments. And just about now, wonderful. We can see everybody has, is punching those results in. Brilliant. Let's shut the poll and share that result. Brilliant. So of course, 100%, Ms. Kiru, I'm sure you expected this as an answer. We've got a very brilliant audience with us. 100% agree that poor diets and habits can make one more vulnerable to a coronavirus infection. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So basically, we have an incredible immune system that is functioning throughout our life, day and night, in order to prevent and protect us from these viruses and bacteria. So all what we have to do right now is to try and do all things that you can in order to strengthen this immune system. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually give you a very basic understanding of the immune system. As we all know, immune system is really complex. I'm not going to go into great detail. And also, I'm going to show you some of the habits that you may have, which may be suppressing your immune system. And later on, it's going to go on to the must-dos, the steps that you can follow, as I said before, in order to strengthen your immune system. So, we were born with miraculous healing powers, and our body has its own intelligence to protect itself. For example, those who had gone through pregnancy would know this. When you have a fetus in your womb, you don't need to give instruction to the fetus how to grow, and you don't need to give instruction for your body how to protect, isn't it? So the same way, let's say you have a cut in your hand. Your body has its own intelligence to clot that blood and stop that bleeding. So the same way, when there is an invader coming into your system, in this case, let's say virus, coronavirus, right? Your body has its own intelligence to literally orchestrate all those immune cells and immune organs in such a way that they can chase those viruses and destroy them. So this is something basic. And what's happening here is we get fever, right? So fever is a way when your body raises its body heat temperature in order to destroy this virus. But what we tend to think is, like, we look at fever as a nuisance and we want to get rid of this past, right? So the whole point, what I wanted to bring here is we got to honor our body's natural protecting methods, and we got to be aware what's literally happening inside us and encourage and do all means to strengthen this process so that we can protect ourselves, because we all know there's no vaccines coming our way yet. So what is next? We got to make sure that you're strengthening your natural powers. So let me just go through the immune system. So this is the basic way of explaining. So when you have an invader, whether it's a bacteria or virus, your brain gets a message saying, hey, we've got a foreigner here. And your brain then sends a message to all the immune organs to orchestrate an army. So your immune system is like a defense ministry, and then all your immune cells, like the T cells, B cells, lymphocytes, cytokines, all these guys are your army. So what they do is, when they are orchestrated, they are going to go and engulf these foreigners and destroy them. So this is something, the basic explanation I'm just giving you. And for this process, what you need is, the two important guys are your brain and your nervous system. And because these are the guys who are going to sense these foreigners as soon as they enter. So this is why I really don't want you to be in stress, because when you are in stress or panic or in fear, what's going to happen is your brain does not detect this as something, as a stress. Like, you know, it doesn't look at it, oh, she's worried, or he or she is worried about something that's going to happen in future. How it looks at it, it's going to actually think there is a threat. For, let's say it looks at it as if there is an animal, wild animal, a tiger chasing you. So it goes into a fight or flight mode. So in that state, all what it's focusing is to protect you from this threat. Now, at this time, when you have a virus coming into your system and there's a message going to your brain and saying, hey, we need to get this guy to get rid of this guy, your brain is going to say, uh-oh, no, I've got something very important here. There is a tiger chasing me. I got to attend to that first. Now, this is why we got to make sure that we are not going into a stress mode, because stress is going to suppress your immune system. Now, there was a study done in Britain in elderly people who were also depressed. They found that they had reduced number of lymphocytes and T cells, which are really important to prevent disease. And I'm going to be sharing all these links of these research studies towards the latter part of this talk. So if you want, you can go ahead and read on these things as well. So secondly, the habit that's going to suppress your immune system is sugar. Now, when I say sugar, I'm not only talking about the sugar that you add in your tea or coffee, the sugar that is hidden in all our food intake, the processed food, the carbonated drinks, the morning cereals, and all your sweet delights, and even the food, the fruit juice for that fact. All of these have hidden sugar. Now, according to studies, it is said when you have sugar, it's going to increase your blood glycemic level, and it's also going to suppress your immune system at least by 40%. And what's going to happen is this state is going to last for 4 to 5 hours. So imagine if you're someone who is eating this kind of food on a regular basis, and your immune system is going to be suppressed. And if you're having some sort of infection, this is really not going to be doing any help to you. So the second point would be try and keep away from sugar. And there was a study also saying a transient hike of sugar. So for example, when you eat any of these sugar-rich food, a transient hike could literally reduce the number of neutrophils, which are really important for innate immune system. So, so be aware of this and try to avoid sugar at least for the next couple of weeks to come out of this. And my third point that may suppress your immune system is your sleep pattern. So if you're not going to have enough sleep, this is actually going to reduce the cytokines and also the number of T cells, which are literally the guys who will help you to fight against any virus and pathogens. I will talk about the sleep a little more when I talk about the do's. So so what do we need to do now? So now that I know, I have told you what are the things that are suppressing your immune system, all what we need to do is to become a bad host. Now, what I mean by bad host is you got to ensure that you're doing all things to make this body and your system not a suitable environment for the virus to survive. So that's what I mean by bad host. So what do you do first? Get out in the sun. Now, studies say when you are exposed to sun, you're going to energize your T cells. Now, as I said before, T cells are the guys which you need to fight against any pathogens. So when you're exposed to sun, you're going to energize your T cells. And as we all know, when we are exposed to sun, your body is going to be able to synthesize vitamin D, and vitamin D is going to help you protect any respiratory infections and any sort of viral infection as well. So now there were studies done to show this as well. And so what I did this weekend, it was I just kept away all my work and I went into sun for about 10 to 15 minutes run, simply because I wanted to energize my T cells. So do consider exposing yourself into sun, and the best time would be to synthesize some vitamin D would be 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So do try and get maximize this period as well. And secondly, do some movements. So now when I say have some physical exercise or physical movements, I'm not actually asking you to go and run a marathon or work out really vigorously, because we all know the gym facilities are closed, and it's not the same lifestyle many of us are having right now, which we used to. So, and there are high chances of we not doing those kind of physical activities that we were doing before coronavirus, because many of you will be working from home, so you are either seated in front of the computer or hooked up to the TV, and I do understand it is a little bit tricky to get that motivation to go out and do workouts. So what I'm encouraging you, it doesn't have to be literally a workout. Go for a walk in your neighborhood for 10 minutes. Now the parks are open, just go out and spend some time if that's something you feel comfortable. Or if you're at home, go into dancing, yoga, or even there are enough of HIIT training program, online program, which are free. Get onto one of those. And if you have garden space, do some gardening. Now that's also considered as movement. All what I'm asking is to move your body a little bit. Again, there are enough studies proving the benefits. And again, studies say when you have physical movement, it reduces your chances of getting infection, and also it goes on to say that it prevents cancer. So if you care for elderly people and if you have elderly around you, I strongly advise you to encourage them to do some physical movements. Now my parents are in their early 70s, and I've been encouraging them to do a little bit of walk around the house just to keep them, you know, physically active, so that they can also strengthen their immune system in some way. And third point would be take care of your gut. Now we got trillions of bacteria living with us, and these guys are there not only to digest our food, but also they are the first line defense system. And about 80 to 90% of our immune system comes from our gut. So it is really vital you got some good bacteria with you. So one of the ways that you could do is, actually it's three things that you could do. One, go into prebiotic food, probiotic foods, and polyphenols. Prebiotic food are the food which are rich in fiber, all the greens and veggies, they are the ones rich in prebiotic. And then probiotic are the fermented food. Kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, and even fermented pickles are going to do some good to you. And then polyphenols are grapes, berries, and cacao. A good quality cacao has polyphenols. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit on this kimchi, because kimchi is a Korean fermented food, and it's actually a fermented cabbage with some spices. And you know, there was in 2003 there was SARS pandemic. So this SARS pandemic was actually affecting many countries around the world, including China, Korea, and even Hong Kong. So when the studies found that compared to all other countries, kimchi, like Korea, had less infection. And when they found out, it was because Koreans were eating kimchi. Now, kimchi, as I said before, it's when you ferment, they found so many bacteria in this food, and one of the main strand was Lactobacillus plantarum, and along with this bacteria and the metabolites coming out from the sub ingredients like the green onions and ginger had shown to inhibit the growth of influenza virus. So now that's one of the main reason I'm encouraging you to consider having fermented food at least 1 cup daily. So that's what we are doing these days. From the time the lockdown started, we are literally having some sort of fermented food every day so that you can strengthen your gut bacteria. And then let's talk about fasting. Now, some of you may be a regular person who is into fasting, and some of you may not. So fasting literally helps in 2 ways. They prevent viral infection and they also prevent bacterial infection. Now, studies says fasting for about 15 to 17 hours, either the intermittent fasting or autophagy fasting, helps our body to prevent viral infection. So if you are fasting for more than 24 hours, the longer fast is going to help you with bacterial infection. So this is not the time for longer fast. You should be doing intermittent fasting more frequently so that you can actually help your body to prevent viral infection. Lastly, sleeping. So as I mentioned before, like when you sleep, you are going to reduce your hormones which are making you stress. And when this happens, when these hormones are reducing, the helper T cells stickiness is going to be increasing. Now, this is very important because this is how your T cells go and get glued to this virus to destroy. So this is one of the reasons I really stress a lot on sleeping, because you got to have at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. If not, even though you're doing all other things that I just mentioned, and if you're not getting enough sleep, remember you're not going to bring those stress hormone down, and it's not going to be able to help you with your immune system. So guys, I hope you found these things useful, and I'm actually going to be rolling a free program on the 7th of June to 20th of June. It's 14-day immune reboot. And basically what I'm doing is some of the things that I mentioned now, including those, I'm going to be giving you a task per day, and you're going to learn more about your immune system, your body, and also you're going to literally be in a group of people with the same mindset, running towards the same goal. And I will also help you with some recipes and give you some shopping list, so you are not going to be wondering what you should be eating. Everything is going to be given to you, and it's a step-by-step guidance. So feel free to check out my website, and also if at all you're interested in making your own fermented food, in my website I've got the recipes and the videos, so check those out and start taking some actions. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much. Errol, that's over to you.
Kiru, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing all that information with us. I'm sure all our attendees have learned so much about gut health, about fasting. I mean, I need to get, to get practicing with what you shared with us. Thank you so much. That was so interesting. And hopefully maybe I will also get a part of this 14-day program that you're going to be running.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Kiru. I'm going to be there. That's a promise. Thanks, Kiru. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kiru Kishore Kumar, and Kiru has kindly shared with us a lot of ideas. If you have any questions, you can start typing them in right now. And if there's anything that has not been covered by Kiru, she'll be more than happy to answer that for you at the end of our webinar when we bring in the panel discussion. I'm now going to go in straight away and introduce our next speaker for this evening for our presentation. Now, this gentleman, has been armed with a marketing qualification. So he spent his entire career with some of the top hospitality organizations, and that too in key management positions. But his calling has always been healing. And over 15 years ago, Chetan trained and qualified with the International Reiki Association of the United Kingdom. And along his healing journey over the years, he is qualified in sound healing, angelic healing, and even in distant healing practices. He started using all these together in his healing treatment sessions, and he's been getting amazing results. Today, Chetan is an energy healer and a light worker. He practices Tibetan Reiki master. He's a master in Tibetan Reiki. He does sound healing, angelic healing, and he offers sessions to one and all, provided, of course, with healing. It's always about, are you willing to receive a session? He specializes in distance healing as well. And over the years, he has undergone some incredible, powerful, and moving experiences while serving as an energy healer. In addition to his healing practice, he leads healing and intuitive development workshop and retreats around the world. We're excited to have with us this afternoon an energy healer and a light worker from eHealer. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome onto your screens right now, Mr. Chetan Sethi. Chetan, are you there?
Hi, Errol. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Good to see you. I believe we are twinning today. We have a little bit of telepathy there. So we're twinning with our shirts. It's good to see you, Chetan. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and spending this time with us. We're excited to hear from you and what you have to share. Over to you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Errol. Let me just get this on. So if everybody could see the screen, that will be great. Hi, thank you very much for joining us from all over the globe. And to start off, thank you very much, Niru. You have been wonderful presenter, and I was going through what you had to show us and share, which is great. And this time when the epidemic is around and everybody is in stress. Hi, everybody could hear, right? Okay. So, hi. Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Chetan. Everything's all right. Don't worry. Please go ahead.
Okay. So in this particular time when everybody is looking out and you see your family members, your friends, your colleagues across the globe in distress and knowing, everything is uncertain. The uncertainty is a big killer. So yes, so eHealer is where we share healing beyond boundaries. So basically what we do, we heal with energy healing and light work. So basically when you look at the healings which we provide, there are different modalities. So let me just quickly take you through these presentation slides, which will explain you more and tell us what we do. The first slide is about us. What is energy healing? Energy healing and the mindset. So let me just talk a bit about what the mindset is. Nowadays, when you see everybody is quite busy back in the hospitals, in the nursing homes, and our frontliners, the medical professionals, they have been doing a lot of healing, the physical healing and fighting the COVID. eHealer, where we have the platform where we do the energy healing, it is all with the mind and the physical body. So when we talk about the mind, well, that's about me, which Errol has already told. I'm an energy healer, light worker who practices Tibetan Reiki, Angelic Healing. So let me talk more about all these modalities which we do in our e-healing session. One second. Energy healing. It is a branch of alternative medicine based on scientific belief that healers can channel healing energy into patient and effect positive results. That's a proven fact. Now the scientists have started believing the mind or the energy could be a great healer. So in the modalities which I'm going to talk about later on in the slide, I will tell you what are the modalities and how the energy healing works. I'll give you an example. Let's assume you have a family member who just recently lost his job and he comes back home and totally shattered, distressed, and the stress you could feel. The energy of him, the stress could filter down to you. This is how the energy, passes on. Second example, if you look at somebody who has just entered a room where the argument was going on, and he could see the dense energy and he just feels uncomfortable in that environment where he just wants to go out of the room. So that's the vibe which the energy creates. On a positive note, why everybody feels like going out to the beaches? Obviously, they will have the positive energy, the air is flowing freshly, the water element is there. So these are the elements which help you in healing. So in modalities of healing, let's say we talk about Reiki, which we will cover further down. So the energy is passed to the healer or the patient through distant hand signs and different techniques, which I will elaborate. Errol, if you could help me out with the poll question here. Do you
Absolutely.
think
We're going to jump in. Yeah, we're going to jump in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, on your screen in front of you, you'll see the poll popping up right now. And the poll question is very simple. Do you think energy healing can cure chronic diseases? You can pick one of the three. You can either say yes if you know it, no if you're not sure, if you don't know, and of course the third option is you're not really sure. So come on, everybody, reach out to your keypads, to your smartphones, and to whatever it is that you're using. We would like to see an answer from you. What is your opinion on this? Do you think energy healing can cure chronic diseases? We are looking for an answer from you. Let's have it as much as you can. Come on, guys. That's amazing. We're seeing everybody engaging and posting. Brilliant. That's really amazing. Wow, we have a very engaging crowd today. Thank you so much, and super. Let's close that poll and share the response with our speaker, Chetan. So Chetan's 42% of our audience believes, 42% believes that yes, energy healing can cure chronic diseases. 7% they believe no, and 51%, a whopping 51%, are not really sure. So back to you, sir, to take over.
Great. So that's a great audience with 51% saying it's not they're not sure about it. So let me tell you, energy healing. Let me talk about few modalities here. Uh, One of them is Reiki. So it is believed the chronic diseases like cancer, heart diseases, chronic illnesses, pains could be healed, and there are positive number of patients who have been cured. I have been practicing Reiki healing since over 15 years now, and I had patients from different walks of life and around the globe with different diseases and ailments, and they have seen positive results. So energy healing and mind. So coming on that, there's a clear connection between the way the brain thinks and the way your body feels. Just like you can use your body to reduce your psychological stress through exercise, you can also use your mind to improve your body. So I give you an example. So let's say when you have a situation in the house where the parents are fighting, and the child, when he grows up, he could see that effect on his mind, right? So anything which could be visualized, or the atmosphere is created in a way which affects the mind. Same way, energy healing affects the mind, because with the energy, what happens? The inner power or inner strength of a human being, which the energy, we call it chi, he already has inside him. So what we do as energy healers, we tap that particular energy and open the resource center so that his healing automatically starts happening. So that's what the mindset does. So there are different chakras in the body. So the energy healing is basically taking the divine energy, which is the sun, which is a great source of energy, channelizing it in a manner which goes and regulates your chakras and gets your resource, which is full of energy within you, triggering it through your mind and opening that abundance for you. This is how the energy works. How the energy works, well, that is how it works. It triggers that particular spark in you, and with the right channelizing of the energy, it just opens up the whole centers, and you will see a lot of chakras which are not functioning properly in the body, which results in different ailments. So you could reverse that and make those chakras work in a positive manner, and getting the body back to healing, or getting the ailments away from the body. So that's what the positive result of mind does, because that's where the core center is. So where you focus the mind, and then that channelizes, triggers the energies back in your body. Depending on the method, energy focuses on the life force that flows through all of us. So yes, as I said, everybody has that abundance of energy within them. The right tapping and the right person who knows how to tap it is the energy worker. So that's how it works. So let's go further down. Reiki, one of the modalities in e-healer, we have Reiki, which is basically a Japanese traditional technique of alternative medicine, where we use different hand gestures to pass on the energy taken in from the divine light or the divine sun, which channelizes and cures you back from the mind to the body. And I have specialized in distant Reiki. So time, space doesn't matter when you do a distant healing. So basically, if somebody is sitting up in, let's say, America, and I'm sitting in Dubai, I could still pass the energy and heal the particular person, because there's no time, there's no, the space boundaries when you do the energy healing. It is widely believed that the technique was first used by Tibetan Buddhist monks and was rediscovered in 18th. That is correct. And I have specialized in a particular form of Reiki, which is Buddhist Reiki. There are different methods and techniques which have been improvised now for Reiki, but this is what my specialty is, which is the traditional and the Buddhist, the initial Reiki system, which was discovered. Reiki is widely used to cure medical ailments. Yes, now you would see a lot of doctors and the medical professionals have also suggesting and recommending patients to go for the Reiki session, which is a very widely known modality for the session, for the Reiki. Errol, that's another question for the audience. If you could help me out, please. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So let's jump in here and get this poll running on screen. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your poll question. Do you think energy healing helps in handling personal issues in a better and most effective way? Again, it's a simple yes, no, or not sure concept. So we would like to understand from you guys, what do you think? Do you think that energy healing can help in handling personal issues in a better and more effective way? Select one of the three. Either you can say yes, you can say no, or you can be unsure. But whatever it is, you have to have one of those three choices. So reach out, guys. Type in your answers into the keypad, into your smartphones, and click submit. Now, we would just like to let you know that when you see the result, sorry, there's a bit of cough. When you see the results pop up on your screen, there could be a small percentage difference between what we can see on our screens here as organizers and what you see popping up. But don't worry about it. It's only generally a percentage here and there. So here we go. Let's close that poll. I think we've got all of us have voted. Let's give the results to Chetan. And the result is, Chetan, 61% of our audience believe that yes, energy healing can help in handling personal issues in a better and more effective way. 15% say no, and 24% are not really sure. Back to you, sir.
I'm glad that mostly people they are in favor, and that's and I would like to turn minds of those 15% and percentage which are not sure by introducing two more modalities which we do. One is, let me just quickly go through them. 1 second. Yeah, here comes the interesting one, Akashic records. So all the personal issues and, like divorce or parental issues, children, child, the issues when they grow up, and all these could be addressed in Akashic records. We have got a trainer in our e-healer who is specialized in Akashic record reading. So to be born on this planet, we need two elements, the physical body and the divine spark to kickstart the life in us. That is true. And Akashic records is mostly reading of the records of the soul. So it is nothing to do with the physical, body, because physical we take care by Reiki and the sound healing, which will obviously come further. And Akashic records are for the soul. So every soul has got impressions which are carrying the past life, impressions on the soul. So that helps you to unreveal the gifts of divine which you are carrying from the past. And this is how you come to know what are your strengths and what things would help you in improve your lifestyle and in further to grow. It can highlight the solutions of your life problems by using the new learnings about yourself from your past. So let's say the issues like if people are getting depressed in the jobs or they're hopping jobs very frequently, they really don't understand what's going wrong. So that's where the Akashic records would help you out to understand you in a better way, what is right for you, which is the right fit of job for you. And you could probably look for doing Akashic reading with us. Going further down, quantum life coaching. This is an interesting concept, and mostly, I would say, out of all the modalities, this is one of the powerful and the most powerful modality of e-healer, where you remove the money blocks. So the money blocks and LOA, law of attraction, that's where this comes in. People have so many blocks in their life, especially money blocks. So quantum life coaching is a platform where the healer removes all those 24 blocks which are causing the major money blocks in your life, and they help you to get abundance. So this is something which is quite new, and people are looking forward to get this done. Angelic healing, one of my favorite. So we all believe when we are born, angels are assigned to us for our lifespan. So everybody has got its own guardian angels. So do I. So, but it's not revealed. So now what we do here, we reveal somebody, a particular person whose guardian angel, is never revealed in its past. So basically, people come down to us, they tell us to do the angelic reading and revealing the guardian angel. So it's like having one-to-one conversation with your guardian angel, which is been with you from your life, from when you were born, but you were not aware of. So that is somebody, a God sent, which is helping you throughout your life. But the angelic realm has got restrictions. Angel is with you, but he won't come and help you out unless you ask for it. So what we do, we reveal your archangels and we activate it for you for your lifetime, so that whatever you have in your heart, you can open it out to them. There's a window slot which we activate, and then you connect with your angel, guardian angel. So this is all about that. Sound healing, that's again one of my favorite. Well, everybody knows that sounds, they have different frequencies. So basically, if somebody is in a distress or a stress mood, somebody who is, in a party going mood, so the different musics would be played. So it is a fact, and it's a known thing that every sound has got a vibrational frequency attached. So it again relates to the mind. So a particular clip of music would be played, which will make your mind react in a particular frequency. So basically, that helps you to de-stress, to change your mood, to come out of life and be energetic. So that's all happens in sound healing. There are different methods of sound generation which are used, which really helps you in improving and feeling much better and awakening your inner self. Last but not the least, the discovery sessions. We do quite a lot of discovery sessions on eHealer platform, and do connect with us on Facebook and follow on Instagram to keep updated on what's happening next. And we do offer a lot of freebies and free sessions, including all the modalities. That will be all. Thank you very much, and we are open to the questions. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron.
I'm going to pop in right back. Thank you so much, Chetan. Very interesting. So much to learn about e-healing and angelic healing and Reiki and everything that you shared. I mean, many of us who may be confused about these alternative modes of healing, it may have opened our minds, and I'm sure all of us would want to explore this further. There's of course a lot of material available to us on YouTube and many other channels, and of course we can also come back to you and get some more information on this. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Chetan. Please stay with us. I will bring you right back again for the panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is back to you. If you have any questions for Chetan, please feel free to send them across to us, and we would direct them to Chetan and get him back again during the panel discussion and share those questions with him. So any questions that you have that arise in your mind, please feel free to ask those questions so that we can bring it up for Chetan. So we're going to go right into our next speaker this evening, and our final speaker before we do the panel discussion. Now, this young man holds I've got a little bit of a nagging cough. I think I've got a bank on Chetan to help me heal that one, Chetan. Now this young man holds a bachelor's degree from the Ryerson University in Canada in dietetics and clinical nutrition services. He's also an accomplished and certified personal trainer and a fascial stretch therapist. He's passionate about nutrition and health, and he converts that passion into results for all those who work with him. He is a personal trainer. He's based out of Toronto in Canada, and for the last 3 years, he's helped multiple clients achieve their goals, their fitness goals, and even go beyond. He has helped many sports persons and amateur athletes with rehabilitation and recovery from minor sport-related injuries as a therapist. He is a future International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness and IBBF pro, and a competitor in the bodybuilding physique division. He has a very, very active following on social media, and Alistair D'Souza's videos and posts on Instagram are really interesting and engaging, and we're glad to have him with us today, all the way from Toronto in Canada, where it's quite early in the morning. We thank you, Alistair. We would like to welcome you on our screens. Alistair D'Souza, ladies and gentlemen, the founder and partner at Fit in 6 and a personal trainer all the way from Toronto in Canada. Welcome, Alistair. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for the great introduction. I'm blushing a little bit.
Over to you, and I'll let you take over. All the best.
Perfect. Thank you, Earl. I'm going to start my presentation. Just give me one quick second. So as Earl mentioned, I'm a personal trainer, and as a personal trainer, science is very important to me. So when I was in school, what was something important that we learned is that we should always take an upstream approach when tackling diseases. Now, simply put, that means instead of trying to cure a disease when it happens, we should try to prevent it as best as possible. This is the best case scenario for COVID-19. Instead of trying to treat all the patients that happen and overburden our healthcare system, we need to take a preventative approach. Now, after COVID-19, what do? Do we forget about health? Of course not. We don't forget about health. We still treat our health the same way. And as a personal trainer, I try to constantly communicate to my clients that there's 4 aspects of health. If you're in the gym and you're exercising, you've hit 1. There's 3 others that you still need to hit on. That's nutrition, your sleep, and stress management. Now, those are all very important. And to me, if you're missing out on one of those aspects, you're not as healthy as you can be. One thing I need to get out of the way before we start, and this is according to the Canadian dietitians, this is according to the World Health Organization, this is according to multiple health agencies across the world. There's no single food, supplement, or a natural health product that treats or prevents COVID-19. And the reason I'm saying this is because there's many news outlets, there's many information outlets that talk about preventing COVID-19, and they compare it to the common cold and flu. And the reason I say this is important is because we know that COVID-19 is like nothing we've ever seen before. It acts differently in the body, it infects people differently. It's the only disease that I can think of that actually shows asymptomatic symptoms in most of the patients for up to 2 weeks that can still infect people. Most people don't even show signs. So my goal in this is to really explain what nutrition can do to help you. So when we're talking about COVID-19, I always like to look at the immune system. Our best defense against COVID-19 and other diseases that may come about is a strong immune system. When we're looking at nutrition specifically in our immune system, there are 3 vitamins that I want to focus on. Vitamin C, the first one. Vitamin C allows, So 50 years ago, Linus Pauling talked about vitamin C and superdosing vitamin C in order to cure the common cold. Now, in 2013, there was a systematic review to debunk that. It showed that vitamin C superdosages did not actually curb or decrease the infection rate of the cold or reduce the duration, nor did it reduce the incidence year-round. Now, this isn't me telling that vitamin C is useless. This is me telling you that vitamin C superdosed isn't effective. What I'm trying to tell you is choose whole foods. Fruits and vegetables have plenty of vitamin C plus other nutrients such as fiber and all their other vitamins and minerals. Vitamin D is the second thing that I want to look at. As Kiru mentioned, vitamin D is very important in preventing upper respiratory infection rates. Low rates of vitamin D have been linked to depression, rickets, and upper respiratory infections. So to get it, all we need to do is step out in the sun for about 15 minutes, 3 times a week. And that's outside specifically. If we're indoors, the issue with that is that the sun's UVB rays don't perpetuate through the window. So we need to specifically go outside. Other sources of vitamin D are your fatty fish, such as salmon, your fortified beverages, soy beverages, eggs, as well as orange juice. And the last mineral that I want to talk about is zinc. Now, zinc, there's been some chatter about it reducing the replication rate of coronavirus. Take that with a grain of salt. It's not 100% true. It may be true, but there's not enough research behind it. When we're talking about zinc, I like to look at its effects on the immune system. It does boost the immune system, but just like vitamin C, superdosing it doesn't help. The sources of zinc are your meats, your nuts, your legumes, so eating those will give you plenty of zinc. So it's very important to get zinc in to help boost the immune system. Now, I'm going to take it to Errol because there's a question that I want to ask all of you.
Jumping in, Alistair, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a poll question for you on your screen. How many days do you think it's sufficient to work out per week? How many times or how many days in a week do you think it's sufficient for you to work out? You can either pick twice a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, or every day. So let's have you vote. If I had to pick, I would pick the option that's not there, which is none a week, but that's not what we have Alistair here for. So come on, guys, reach out and vote and tell us, what do you think? Is twice a week good enough, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, or every day? What do you think? And we see the votes are coming in very fast and very swift. Thank you, everybody, for engaging and voting with us. Lovely. In a couple of seconds, I think we would have finished that voting round. And yes, let's end the vote and share that result with Alistair. Alistair, 0%. Nobody believes that twice a week is good enough. 35% believe you'd have to do it at least 3 times a week. 46% believe 5 times a week. And 19% say every day. Over to you. What do you think is the right one?
Okay, so I will get to that in a minute. So thank you everyone for answering. So exercise has been well established to help the immune system and overall health. The first thing it does is it reduces cortisol, which I'll talk about later. The second thing it does is raise the body's core temperature, and what this does is it helps to prevent bacterial growth rate and infection rate. And now I'm going to answer how many times a week you should work out. It's kind of a trick question, so I'm sorry for tricking you. 3 days of full body is sufficient in my opinion. For those of you that think it's every day, I understand where you're coming from. I used to think the same thing because I heard everyone at the gym say work out every day, come to the gym every day. The problem with that is that it's very bro sciencey. That's a term we use here in Canada. Based on science, it says we should work out every muscle group at least twice a week. And that's based on what's called muscle protein synthesis. It's our body's ability to recover from the workout that we did. If we're working 3 days a week, full body, that's sufficient volume and stimulus for our muscles to grow, but it also gives us enough recovery. 5 times a week in the gym is plenty. It's the max that you should ever do. And now the problem with doing it every day, in my opinion, is excessive stress that you may put on your body. Overdoing exercise is not good. More is not better. When we're exercising every day, what happens is that we're putting too much stress on our body. One study of note showed that high exercise training workloads actually showed to decrease the immune response by increasing immune stress, increase in inflammation, and increase in illness risk. All the studies I have will be provided at the end, by the way, if you're curious. This study was done in athletes and people prepping in competitions, but also can be applied to people not resting and recovering properly. So people working out every single day, not resting, not having proper nutrition, it really takes a toll on the body. Now, when I'm talking about exercise, I'm not just talking about going to the gym, working out, and hitting heavy weights like resistance training, doing push-ups, lifting weights, all of that. I'm also talking about cardio training, and it's something that I realize is super important. Now, cardio training directly improves the cardiovascular system, which helps the immune system. The way it does that is by helping the blood flow a lot better and allowing your heart to work more efficiently. And the reason that's important is that it helps our immune system by getting all the cells and substances that our immune system needs to the proper place in an efficient manner. The other thing it does is, it may flush out bacteria out of the lungs and the airway. Both of these things are very important during this pandemic and going forward. So the next thing I want to talk about is stress. When talking about stress, it's inevitable. We're always going to have stress in our life unless we're dead, which can be beneficial. Stress is good in certain ways. So if we're exercising, we're creating stress in our body's ability to adapt is what makes us stronger. It's what makes our muscles bigger. The problem is when we can't adapt to it. So chronic stress is very problematic. Chronic stress leads to multiple complications. One thing is the cytokines that are released from stress. So cytokines are naturally released when stress happens. They go away once the stressful state's done. The problem is when there's elevated stress, chronic stress, as I mentioned, cytokines are constantly released, they're upregulated, so they're constantly circulating to the body, creating inflammation throughout the body. And what this inflammation does is that it leads to heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, as well as a weakened immune system. The second thing is cortisol. I mentioned that previously. Cortisol actually suppresses the immune system. Cortisol is released when we're in a state of panic, in our fight or flight moment. So what it does is that it increases heart rate and blood pressure, which over time, if it's chronic, will lead to heart disease and, again, a weakened and compromised immune system. It also prevents the activity of many of our cells in our immune system from properly functioning. Just because we have this stress doesn't mean it's inevitable. There's so many things that we can do, and it's something that I learned. One of the main things is talking to people. So during COVID, when it first started happening, we were all stressed. We didn't know what was happening to our jobs. We didn't know what was happening around the world, and that's inevitable. I'm not telling you guys to not be stressed. I'm telling you to try to look at the things you can control rather than things you can't control. One of the things I did to help my stress was talk to people. So my support system is very good, and I'm blessed for that. And of course, not everyone may have that support system. So there are other things you can do. Take alone time. You have so much time alone now. So learn the skills that you want to. I've tried to learn how to cook. I'm not the best at it. I'm not saying I'm good, but I'm learning, and it's really fun, and it's helping to take the stress off my mind. Other things are meditation, yoga, and other mindful disciplines. And the reason this is important is because it has been researched and shown to reduce your inflammation and reduce your cortisol. So take the time to learn new things. And the last thing I want to mention is writing things you're grateful for. It's very hard to be stressed when you're writing things that you're very grateful for. So now I'm going to take it to Errol for another question.
And here I am. Let's do this. How many hours of sleep do you get per night? Here's a question that goes out to everybody. I think very, very relevant at this point of time with all our addictions to our smartphones and to Netflix and television. So come on, everybody. Let's see. What do you think? What is your current situation? How many hours of sleep do you actually get per night? Is it 2 to 4 hours? Is it 7 to 9 hours? Or is it just 4 to 6 hours? So tell us your scores right now. What do you think? I can see a lot of you voting. Come on, everybody needs to participate. Reach out to your keypad, reach out to your smartphone, punch in the answer you think is best suited, and let's click that submit button and share the result with Alistair. Come on, let's go, people. Oh, that's wonderful. I can see a lot of you are voting. Thank you so much for doing that. And let's about now close the poll. And our results, Alistair, 0%. Nobody says we sleep for 2 to 4 hours. We're getting a lot more than that. 46% are getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and 54%, of course, are getting only 4 to 6 hours. 54% 4 to 6, 46% 7 to 9 hours. Over to you.
Thank you, Errol. So I'm glad that no one's getting 2 to 4 hours of sleep, and I'm glad 46% are getting 7 to 9. Now, to the 54% that are getting under, I know you may be busy, but I want to really, really preach to you why I believe sleep is the most underrated aspect of health. As Errol mentioned, we're in the age of the smartphone, Netflix, and all of that, so that is, of course, affecting our sleep. Now, oftentimes I see people bragging about how little sleep they get, and I think that's one of the most dangerous things you can do. Sleep is so important because it helps us recover both mentally and physically. Now, sleep is essential regardless who you are. If we aren't recovering, we're constantly increasing our stress. So we're not removing the stress from our body. And as I said, that is a big, big problem. Now, when we're talking about sleep, the other issue is the hormonal effects it has. Multiple studies have shown the increase of cortisol from a lack of sleep, which I mentioned is bad, but then there's also the increase of ghrelin and the decrease of leptin. Now, both are hormonal appetites. What ghrelin does is it increases your appetite and it increases fat storage. It's called the fat storing hormone, while leptin is called the satiating hormone. And what that means is that it gives you that feeling of full, prevents you from eating, prevents you from storing as much fat because you're not eating as much. Basically, what this means is if we're sleeping poorly, we're more likely to binge and eat the foods that we're more accustomed to, the nice junk foods that we love to eat, and we're more likely to store fat. Now, the way to combat this is to sleep 7 hours. And it's not just 7 hours, it's 7 deep hours. And what this means is that we have to wake up feeling well rested. If we're waking up smashing our snooze button, which many of us have done, I'm guilty of it, I've done that, we're not getting that deep sleep. And the reason that's problematic is because if we're not getting that deep sleep, we're not getting that recovery that's optimal. Deep sleep helps improve the immune system. Now, I form a routine to help me get that deep sleep. I'm always in bed around the same time, 10:30 to 11. I shut off all my electronics 30 minutes before, so no Netflix, no texting, no scrolling on Instagram 30 minutes before I sleep. I shut off all my lights, make sure there's a dark room, make sure noise is minimized. I'll put earmuffs if I have to, or earbuds. I will make sure, and this is the most important, my bed is just for sleeping. I don't lie in my bed watching Netflix. I don't text people. My bed is just there to sleep, and I even shut off my phone so that no one disturbs me. No, I don't hear any texts. I don't hear any. If you're from Ontario region, you know about the Amber Alerts that wake us up at 3 in the morning, or wherever in whatever part of the world you may get alerts at night about an emergency happening. If you don't want to hear that, shut off your phone. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is an interview that Dr. Matthew Walker did, and this interview was conducted by Rhonda Patrick, and it's a very great interview. I suggest that you listen to it because Dr. Matthew Walker is a professor at the University of Berkeley, and he is one of the most respected when it comes to research about sleep. He talks about this very important cycle, and it's a deep sleep cycle. So Alzheimer's is something that many of us know about, if not all of us. And Alzheimer's is a debilitating disease. What Alzheimer's does is that it really affects our cognitive ability, and it affects our ability to remember. And if you've seen it, it's very, very disheartening to see. So what happens is beta amyloid, which is a plaque that builds up in our brain, builds up over time. Now, the way to get rid of this beta amyloid is by sleeping, is by deep sleep. Our body flushes out the beta amyloid plaque from the body when we sleep in a very deep state. However, if we're not sleeping deeply, we can't get rid of that amyloid plaque. And what Dr. Walker suggested, or even research, is that if we're not sleeping deeply enough, we're creating this vicious cycle where beta amyloid keeps building up. And because the beta amyloid keeps building up, we can't get into that deep sleep as efficiently. And then it keeps increasing the amount of beta amyloid plaque that's building up into our brain. And it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, he calls it, where beta amyloid's building up and we can't get rid of it because we can't get into deep sleep as efficiently. And he even took this a step further by having participants sleep for 7 hours, but he was playing an auditory tone, which would wake the patients up from deep sleep and put them in shallow sleep. So they wouldn't wake up fully where they would just like jolt up and like be surprised and woken up. They would just still sleep for the 7 hours, but it would just be shallow sleep. And the problem with that is when they did a spinal tap to check their cerebral fluid, they found a higher buildup of beta amyloid than the previous day. Now, what I'm saying is that missing 1 day of deep sleep is not going to kill you, but it adds up. So if you're missing 1 day every couple of days, say you're missing 2 days of deep sleep a week, that adds up to about 104 days in a week. And my math may be off, but it's over 100 days of deep sleep that you're missing. And that plaque builds up really quick. So deep sleep is essential to every participant out there, whether you're someone who hasn't worked out in your life, whether you're someone that works out every day, make sure you're getting that sleep in. If you're not, you're reducing your cognitive function, you're decreasing your short and long-term memory, and you're building that plaque up, which is really detrimental to our health. So my reference sheet is right here. I can send it to anyone that asks. My Instagram is linked by Errol. That's where I answer most of my questions. If you do have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. I'm pretty much available quite often. I'm available quite often. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, and I'm going to take it back to Errol.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Alistair. That was very, very enlightening. Lots of information there, with the amount of information you shared about getting the right amount of sun, getting the right amount of sleep, and of course, even the fitness and how many times a week we should exercise and do the cardio. Thank you so much. Stay with us. We're starting to get questions coming in. I want to bring in the rest of our panelists right now on screen so we can actually run through some of the questions that have popped up on our screen during this. And ladies and gentlemen, we're still taking questions. So if you have any more, please bring them up so that we can share these with our speakers and get you the answers. So there you go. The questions seem to start coming in right now. So let me just get myself organized here. And yeah, so let's go with our first question, and this one's directed towards Kiru. Kiru, a question is, um, I know it's too early, but I'm a strong believer that the best cure of COVID-19 is the self-immune system. And this question is coming from ours. So I would love to see a magic recipe on how to boost it. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, the magic recipes are simply to follow those steps that I literally pointed out. And this would be a great opportunity for you to jump on board with me on the 14 days immune, because there it's going to be a whole package where along with this, I'm going to be also giving some simple biohacks that we could do, because this time frame was limited. So I actually brought in a handful that someone can immediately start applying immediately as they hear me out. But yeah, that's kind of the start with these basic things, and do come and join me. I mean, that's going to be a great opportunity for you to check it out. And
Brilliant.
also, social medias, I've got like I always do videos and post encouraging people to follow some biohacks. So that will be another magic tool.
Okay, so a question for Chetan. Chetan, how do you see this COVID-19? Is there any type of energy healing that is possible against this pandemic situation? What is your experience?
Yes, I have present patients from India and back in UK and few in Dubai who have been positively confirmed, and they were on ventilator back in the hospitals when they approached us, and we are giving them a mix of Reiki, sound healing, and angelic healing. It's a session of 30 minutes. I have given almost 5 to 6 sessions to a particular patient, which has helped them to revive their oxygen levels, and they have been off ventilator, and that's why they are back on the recovery trail now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. A question for Alistair. Alistair, a question is coming from George Joseph, who wants to know, is walking daily and doing yoga 5 times a week a good option? I mean, a good suggestion to do?
Great question. I really like the walk-in. To a lot of my clients, I suggest 10,000 steps. Now, a lot of people say that's too much. It's not as much as you think. The yoga, I think, is really good too. It's very low impact on the joints, so that's a good option. I would try to get some resistance training. If you're not getting sufficient volume from the yoga, I would suggest try resistance training 2 to 3 times a week and yoga twice a week, because that would give you a very good balance. The walk-in, though, perfect. It's low impact, it's not too stressful on your joints, and it's very effective.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alistair, for answering that one.
No
A question has come in from Sajina Musakutti for Kiru, and the question is, do we need to have 7 to 8 hours of continuous sleep, or 4 hours at night and 2 in the afternoon will be okay? So I think Kiru and maybe even Alistair can jump in later on this. Kiru, what do you say?
Hi, Sajina. Well, I think Alistair gave a great explanation about sleep as well. So basically, if what you need to remember is our body has it has a clock, and it's called circadian clock, and that function for 24 hours. So the reason we are encouraging people to have minimum of 7 hours of sleep is what's going to happen is every organ in our body has its own timing to shut down and detoxify and revamp and regenerate, you call it. It's basically, I like the name to be called as reboot. It's simply every night your system is rebooting. So you go into a 90-minute sleep cycle, and that happens at least 5 stages. So when you don't do that kind of sleep on a regular basis, even though you're taking some naps, of course there are studies saying short naps are good, because some of us, like when you have 10 minutes of nap, you just get boosted. Those are good. But remember, at this time of what we are going through, we got to allow our body to regenerate and revamp and reboot. For that, you got to allow this entire cycle happening. So if at all you are someone who is having some work structure where you cannot have enough sleep, then I would encourage you to try and, whenever possible, try and catch up. But it's not the right way. But if at all, if that's your lifestyle, at least try and go into a more hours of sleep. So I hope that helped you.
Alistair, do you want to add to this in any way?
Yeah, so Kiru did mention a lot of the information I wanted to talk about. The other thing is they actually did a specific study on the habit that you were talking about, 4 hours of sleep and then 2 hours of sleep for a nap later on. So a 2-hour nap, the reason I try to stay away from it is because it actually gets us into the initial stages of deep sleep, or like just the end of shallow sleep. And if we're waking up from that, we're going to feel incredibly groggy. Now, the 4 hours of sleep, though, is not enough for us to go through our full cycle. So we're not getting that sufficient recovery from our deep sleep, and we're not getting stage 3 non-REM sleep, which is the one Dr. Matthew Walker really recommends we get into. So if we're not getting into stage 3, we're not sufficiently recovering. So my suggestion is to try to get that 6 to 7 hours minimum in the night, and then take 10 minutes naps like Kiru suggested.
Brilliant. Kiru, I just want to continue as an addendum to the question we just answered. Candida wants to know, what in your experience is the ideal time difference between eating meals during the day? I mean, what do you think should be the ideal time difference?
Okay. So Candida, first of all, although we know we got to give a 4 hours of time period for digestion to happen, it all depends on bio-individuality. What I mean by that is every one of us are different. So I cannot literally say, hey, you got to be eating every 4 hours or 5 hours, because first of all, we got to understand, why are we reaching out to food? Are we reaching out because we are hungry? Or are we reaching out because you're bored? Or are you reaching out to food because, I had some meal, now I've been brought up in a way that I'm supposed to have 3 meals or 2 meals a day, I cannot skip my breakfast. So if that's the reason, then I don't think you're doing it right. Because first of all, food is fuel, and we need to bring that in depending according to our body requirement. And also this again depends on your metabolism, your macros composition in your food. When I say macros, like the carbs, proteins composition, and also the times that you're been eating. Like for example, if you're someone who is going to bed around 10, and if you're eating around 9 p.m., so that's again going to affect your digestion and you feeling hunger. So in my case, I lead a fasted lifestyle, so we always do a lot of intermittent fasting throughout 99.9% of my lifestyle. So, so I just eat sometimes 1 meal a day, and sometimes just go on water. So that doesn't mean like you have to. So what I'm trying to explain is, to answer your question, there is no set rule that you have a period of time between meals. Go and reach out meals if you feel hungry. And then another thing you may want to note here is, when you feel hungry, sometimes a lot of people misinterpret that hunger and thirst. Sometimes you may be thirsty, or sometimes you may be bored. So just ask yourself a question: why do I feel I need food now? And just grab a glass of water, and then if you still feel hungry, then deep inside from your stomach, if you're getting that cranky thing, then that means you're hungry. So I hope that helped.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I have that is definitely enlightening, Kiru. I have a question for Chetan, and that's coming from Aravind Nadaraja Pillai. Arvind wants to know, He thanks you, Mr. Chetan, for sharing, and he wants to know: do you mean energy healing is done mostly mentally or internally, or is there any physical touch energy healing here, involved or there?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, normally as a distance healer, I pass the energy, not in presence. If somebody is back in Europe and I'm sitting here, I could pass the energy. But yeah, we do in person as well. So we have patients coming in house and where we perform. But physically touching, that's not the point. Basically, we do Reiki also. We keep the hands and the gestures on the body a little bit away from touching it. So the energy could flow, you don't have to touch it. So it just flows automatically.
Got it. Thank you so much. Now a couple of questions with regards to deep sleep coming towards Alistair. So I'm gonna try and see if I can combine those questions together.
Okay.
Alistair, George Joseph wants to know, how do you try to get deep sleep? Do you need to walk, get exhausted, and then go into deep sleep? So that is a question from George. Angela Tanasik wants to know, how would we know that we are in deep sleep? Okay, and Vanita also is asking, how do you define deep and shallow sleep? So there's a lot of questions about that. Can you help us out with this?
All right, so I will answer George's questions first. George, you were asking, how do we get into deep sleep, right? That was a question?
Yes.
Okay, so to get into deep sleep, what we need to do is form patterns. Our body, and as humans, we love patterns. So for me, as I said, I like to get to sleep at 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m. usually. Studies have shown that our body's core temperature is lowest at, I believe, 2 a.m., and that's when we're most likely to reach deep sleep. So if we're in bed by about 10:30, that gives us sufficient time to reach that deep sleep state. So I would say sleeping earlier is better, and also limiting the electronics and limiting the noise and the light. So if we're limiting the light through a blindfold, it'll help us, and little earbuds will help to reduce the noise. So those are my recommendations. And also try not to wake up. I know it's hard, but try not to wake up from thirst, and it's just to stay hydrated throughout the day. Walking and being exhausted also helps, because it helps to get us to bed easier. But those recommendations are probably the best. I hope that answered your question, George. If you have further confusion, you can ask me. I can give you more information. Angela's question was, do you mind reminding me, Errol?
Okay, it was how do you get deep sleep? I think I knocked it out
Oh,
of
how
my
do you
list
know
here.
if you get deep sleep, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. So Angela, to know that you got deep sleep, it's based on how you wake up. Do you wake up groggy? Do you wake up slapping the alarm constantly, or hitting the snooze button? How do you feel at like 3 p.m.? Are you feeling like, oh, I need a third coffee? That's how you know if you hit deep sleep. If you hit deep sleep, you won't necessarily need that second cup of coffee or that even energy drink that a lot of people I know drink. So you're hitting deep sleep by feeling revitalized in the morning, by not feeling as groggy, and by having more energy throughout the day. And the last question was Vanita, who asked the differentiation between shallow and deep sleep. So that goes
Vanita, I
into,
think Vanita asked the
yeah,
question.
Vanita, yeah. So that goes into Angela's question. Shallow sleep, if you have the same amount of shallow sleep, like let's say you get 7 hours of shallow sleep, you'll wake up feeling groggy. You'll go, man, I had 7 to 8 hours, how come I'm still feeling exhausted? You're still in a shallow state of sleep. So you'll know that because you'll still feel tired. You'll still need that second and third cup of coffee. So my recommendation is trying to get a deeper sleep by following the habits that I said. Sleeping a bit earlier and limiting the noise pollution that you have around you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Chetan, a
No worries.
question for you. Does energy healing have any side effects?
Yes, that's a question which I've been asked quite frequently. No, energy healing doesn't have any side effects. It's something like you're taking energy from the sun. So I'm just a channel. I channelize it to the right direction. It's the same energy, cosmic and the sun energy. So no, there's no side effects to answer that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I have a question for Alistair. Alistair, Candida wants to know what's the ideal time for a daily workout focused on building the cardiovascular strength. And I think I can also, yeah. So let's get that answer first. What's the ideal time for a daily workout?
So good question, Candida. Honestly, it depends on person to person. Kiru mentioned this when talking about times to eat. There's no specific times to eat. It depends on person to person. Honestly, I like my morning workouts. I like to work out in the morning because I get it out of the way and it's the first thing I do. If you work out in the morning versus night, there's no real difference. You may have more energy in the morning as opposed to the night, but then you have more food in the tank, so you have more glycogen reserves to work out. So it's whatever time works out best for you. Just make sure you're getting that workout in the day.
Brilliant. And I have a question coming from George Joseph, and it's coming to Alistair, but I also like to hear from Kiru on this one. Eating a small piece of raw ginger, few pieces of garlic, and half a raw lime a day, is it any good? So Kiru and Alistair, if you could both share your thoughts on this.
Sure. I think that would be good if you can eat that. I personally wouldn't be able to eat that. I like to put that in my food. I use a lot of garlic in my food because garlic has plenty of antioxidants and nutrients to help support the immune system. So garlic and ginger, really good for the immune system, and ginger is good for the stomach, helping to prevent bloating and other things. Lime, vitamin C and antioxidants, so very good. I would say if you put in your food, it's no different than eating it raw if you're eating sufficient amounts.
Kiru, what do you think? Do you also would like to add to any of those others, superfoods?
So combining all these ingredients is kind of like a flu bomb, what I call, and I've been sharing some recipes. So this is something that we do normally in our lifestyle, like where if there is a virus happening, so what we call like, there's a flu season and all these things, or if we see a colleague sneezing or something, we go and get these shots simply because, as Alistair was saying, it does have a lot of antibacterial and antiviral composition. Of course, it's good, but it depends on if you have been doing that for a while, and if at all your stomach is tolerating it, if you're having it before breakfast, because those things can be quite strong for some people, especially when you're breaking your fast, because you must remember we are all in a fasted state when we sleep at least 7 to 8 hours. So the moment you have some sort of strong food coming in, for some people it could be triggering a little bit of burning sensation and so on. So I always recommend to have this just after you break fast, which is after having a avocado or something that something mild, and then you go for it. And also try fermenting these things. You can enjoy the benefits and maximize it, because ginger, when it is fermented, and garlic, when it is fermented, it's really, really going to help you to strengthen your immune system. So as I said before, get in those good bacteria as well, and you can enjoy throughout your day. I hope that helped.
Kiru, as an addition to that, I had Arvind asking earlier, is there any way you can make kimchi at home? Are there recipes on YouTube that he can follow?
I've got my own recipes. I wasn't sure whether he was able to get down my website. So it's kirukishokumar.com. I don't know whether I can share it again, but let me just try sharing it.
We send it to them. We'll send it to them. We'll send it to Arvind on a link.
Certainly. So the recipes are on my site under the recipe blog, and also in my social media, Kiru Kishore Kumar. You can find me on YouTube. I've shared all my recipes. Kimchi recipe particularly is there as well, or Facebook, Global Health Coach, Instagram, Global Health Coach. You can find all the recipes. So
awesome.
You can start immediately.
So I want to ask you a question, Kiru, that's coming from two people here. Lidwin Lobo is also asking about it, and so is Vanita Fernandez. It says, Lidwin wants to know how effective is intermittent fasting, and what are the suggested hours of fasting. Vanita would like to know, would you recommend intermittent fasting as a lifestyle change, or do you just say follow it on and off? What do you say to these?
Okay, the first question, how effective is intermittent fasting? So basically, when you do intermittent fasting, what you're literally doing is when you wake up and you're not, first of all, indulging in a usual sugary breakfast, because most cultures, we tend to go into sugary food, whether it's to have a sandwich or even a good healthy oats, a bowl of oat or whatever, that's going to hike your sugar. So the reason I like to encourage people to go into intermittent fasting is because you're not allowing your body to feed on sugar. So that's one of the main reasons that we all are going through all these chronic disease and inflammations and autoimmune disease and so on, because our culture has changed in such a way that we are going and indulging a lot of sugary food. When I say sugar, I'm also referring to carbs. So what you need to do in order to enjoy all the anti-aging effects, or allow your body to go into repairing your gut, or reducing inflammation, any sort of issues, or even simply to bring your gut bacteria into a right balance, you got to allow your body not feeding from sugar. So instead, you got to go for change your body into a fat burning machine. So the way that you could do is one of the methods, and science had been repeatedly giving us enough and enough of research results, and this has been practicing for me. I've been practicing fasted lifestyle for past 6 years, and that was one of the way that I was able to repair all my health issues, and I have seen results with several clients as well, simply by allowing your body to start running in a fat mode instead of sugar mode. Of course, I mean, that doesn't mean that you're going to be fasting throughout your life. I mean, you can, I really encourage people to cycle the fasting. So that's one of my, program coming up next month, which I call Reboot 15, where it's a process of different types of fasting for 15 days, where you literally can cycle it. So in that way, you are going to be figuring out what exactly your body needs. As I said before, every one of us are different, but all what you need to follow, all of us need to understand is less sugar, more of good fat and good quality protein. The more sugar you eat, the more carbs you are going to be indulging, that's going to make you go into all sort of diseases and so on. So that's one of the reasons. So to answer the question, yes, intermittent fasting, if you can do throughout your life period, perfect. If you're someone who is a beginner, start from 12 hours, because you're already sleeping 7 to 8 hours, so extra couple of hours, and then break your breakfast, focus on good fat, like you can have egg, or you can have avocado, nuts, seeds, those kind of things, and then keep your carbs towards the latter part of the day. In that way, your glycemic level is not going to go high, and also you're not going to feel hungry often. This is a perfect method if you want to unstick that weight, if you want to lose weight as well.
Brilliant. So I'm gonna just be able to take a couple of more questions right now, because we're sort of running out of time. But before I can go into our last few questions, I want to quickly bring the attention of all our attendees that on your screen in front of you, you'll see our social media handles. The reason why we put that up there is for a couple of things. One is, if you have any questions that have not yet been answered, and you would like to ask those questions to any of our panelists, you can always connect with us with our social media handles, and we'll address those questions to our panelists. Second thing is, we would like to hear your feedback. So share with us your feedback, like, follow, subscribe, and share with us your feedback on what you felt about today. We also take suggestions. We want to know from you what are the subjects that are relevant to you that we can cover, that we can invite our partners, our our panelists to come and speak about. So if you have any suggestions on what subjects we could cover in our future webinars on Webinar Tuesday, please let us know about that. And a third and important thing I would like to let everybody know is it was a very, very valuable webinar today. We're going to run a re-telecast of this webinar on Thursday. It will go up on our social media pages on YouTube and Facebook. So if there's anybody from your network who has missed out on being present and watching this today, they can always go back and catch the whole re-recording so they can still get this amazing information. So back to my questions. I've got a question right now coming from and I'm going to throw it to all the three of you because I would like to hear what you're saying. So because of the time given, do try and keep it as short as possible. This is a question to Chetan, Kiru, and Alistair, all three of you. It's coming from Aravind. Of course, he says, meditation, yoga, and other mindfulness. What is the other mindfulness? Do you have any suggestions of what examples that you could be engaged in to have other mindfulness? Chetan, you want to take a go?
Yes. I would say all these practices, they, take you to the same goal, to keep your mind focused, to make it, like you go to gym and you train your body, right? So you need something for your mind. So these sort of things help to train your mind and to focus. Other mindfulness, yes, there are different types of meditation. One of the meditation which I practice myself is called heartfulness, and which is heart based. We have different sort of meditations. So I would say this is something to train your mind, whether you do a particular meditation or you do any other technique that trains your mind.
Brilliant. Anything else to be added? Any of our other panelists would like to say something?
Yeah, so Aravind, if your aim is to have some sort of kind of energy coming for your mental health in that sort, you can also do going into nature, admiring things, little things around you, because this is something I always like. That's one of the reasons I go for the morning run, because I just admire birds and everything, and that's a form of you allowing your body to secrete happy hormones. Now, the one moment you get those things, you're starting your day right, as well as it's going to allow that, give you that positive energy to go. So even if you can start with appreciating what's around you, or just a form of relaxing, if you want to do have a nice bath or listen to the music that you like, all those things, or even play with your pet, again, that is going to help you as well in the form of mindfulness, where it's going to give you all the happy hormones and reduce the stress hormones.
Brilliant. I'm going to throw a question to Alistair. Alistair, is a question from Janet, and she wants to know, there are different opinions on eating before sleeping. Some like to go to bed on a full stomach, and some prefer to eat at least 2 hours before going to bed. What is your opinion? Is there a study to show that one is better than the other, or is there a difference?
So, in my opinion, it's we're not. I hate to say this because I say this to a lot of my clients, but we're not gremlins. If we eat at a certain time, we're not gonna transform into monsters like from the movie. If you're eating, all I tell to my clients, it's calories in versus calories out. So if you're eating a caloric surplus, you're going to gain weight. Sometimes I find that, like with a lot of clients and myself, if I'm eating a heavy meal before I sleep, it's going to be hard to sleep. So just make sure you're eating a light meal. Make sure you're not like eating a meal excessive in fats. And if you see the scale going up, just realize it may be because you ate before you slept. And it may be a meal that's full of carbs, which for every gram of carbohydrate, it equals about 4 grams of water. So you have a lot of water retention. So don't be worried about eating at specific times. Everybody's different. During my cuts, I usually eat right before I sleep because that's when I have the time. But you don't have to necessarily worry about what time you eat or how late you eat before you sleep.
So here's an addition from Kajal to the same question, where she wants to know, Kajal Padia wants to know, after a meal, how much time should be passed before we exercise? Because we spoke about meal and sleep, but what about meal and exercise?
Very good question, Kajal. What I would say is it depends on you. So for me, I can't eat and then work out right away because I get cramps and bloated, feel it. So whatever feels most comfortable to you. For me, it's usually an hour. I'll eat a meal that has a little bit of carbohydrates, like a bagel, just to give me a better pump, as we call it. It's like to have a better full feeling and to have my glycogen reserves more full so I can have a better workout. I work out with a lot of heavy weights, so I need that extra little bit of carbs before I work out. So I would say give it about 30 minutes to an hour. If it's a heavy meal, give it a bit more. Let the digestion happen a bit. You don't want to be digesting and working out at the same time. It's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Uh, Alistair, here's another. I'm going to take my last two questions here. Chitra wants to know, can I get vitamin D when I walk in the morning? And to add to that, Arvind says, I walk, I've been at home during this lockdown. My belly is starting to show, but I go for a walk every day for 45 minutes. Is that enough? So a question on walking there for both of you. What do you think?
Okay.
For you, Alistair.
Oh, for me? Okay. So for the first question, the vitamin D, if you're walking 15 minutes every day in the morning with the sun exposed, the sun's hitting your skin, you should be fine. If it's about 15-minute walks, it's good. For the second question, a lot of my clients have been saying that they've been gaining some weight, and I would take a look at the calories. So a 45-minute walk is good, but what about the rest of the day? So you're just doing one 45-minute walk and the rest of the hours you're awake, you're just eating and not exercising, or you're not active. You're going to gain weight because you're in a caloric surplus. So what I tell my clients is keep in mind of what you're eating, especially when you're at home. You're closer to your fridge. I know in the first month of quarantine, I was eating a lot, so don't feel bad about it. I just say, look at how much you're eating, look at the calories you're eating, keep a track of that, and you'll see. The main thing about weight loss, it's calories in versus calories out. So if you're eating more, you're going to gain weight. If you're eating less, you're going to lose weight. So keep a track of your calories, see how much you're eating. There's apps like MyFitnessPal, they're very easy to use. If you have any questions about it, you can reach out to me on my Instagram or whatever social media you use. And keep a track of your calories, see how much you're eating, and then eat a little bit less. Eat like 200 calories less, like decrease your portion size slowly, and you'll see the results start to happen. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Brilliant. So, Kiru, can I throw a question at you? George Joseph also asked, how can you suggest any raw vegetables that we can eat? Any raw vegetables?
You can eat almost anything which are coming from the from the plant. So okay, make it simple. Greens, you can go for raw, anything that you can throw in as salads. And in terms of vegetables, zucchini is something that I encourage a lot of people to do, because if you want to keep away from carbs, you're going to get bored of all these salads eating. So you can bring in different versions of vegetables like zucchini. You could eat even cauliflower, like making it into a mixing with a salad kind of thing again, and also raw vegetables in terms of, like, some like to eat cabbage, raw carrots, and beet, anything that you like to taste. Remember, because one thing is, I mean, we know it's good, but also you got to feel comfortable. And you may not be comfortable initially, but eventually. But so the only way I would suggest is, instead of looking at eating raw, because some stuff would not be, healthy, your digestion system will not be handling it properly, because it might be too heavy to digest and so on. So the simple way to remember is try and up your intake of greens. So like at least 8 servings of greens, and maybe in a slight stir-fried form, or even a form of salads, or a form of mild cooking. So in that way, you're concentrating the amount of greens that you're taking per day. So when I say servings, one serving is half a cup. So focus on making it a little bit yummy, so that you will not say, okay, I have done this for 2 days and it's nothing, because that's something that I always encourage people, because healthy does not have to be boring. So you've got to be, making some innovative recipes. Again, it's all on my, social media. So feel free to try those recipes and modify it according to your taste.
Brilliant. I'm gonna say a big thank you to all our panelists. The questions will never stop coming in. There are so many, but we wanna end this, because we've been taking so much of your time. So once again, thank you to all our three panelists. Thank you, Ms. Kiru Kishore. Thank you, Chetan Shetty. Thank you, Alistair D'Souza, for coming on board, for spending time with our audience, for advising them and telling them how best they can work with their health and fitness, especially during this lockdown period and then going forward. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys had an enjoyable evening as well with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Errol, for bringing this together, and also your team and Pure Magic. I really enjoyed, and I hope this was useful for all our listeners. And yeah, good job. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Chetan.
Thanks a lot, Errol.
Thanks,
thanks to the team, and really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Alistair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those were our three amazing panelists for today. Don't forget, we're going to run a re-recording, a re-telecast. If there's anyone of you who have missed out on this or missed out parts of this, or if you'd like to share this link with your friends and family all around the world so they can come in and learn as well, please do. We still are going to try and see if we can get those questions that are unanswered. We would like to share with you, do we have our slide for what we're going to be doing next week in Webinar Tuesday? If we have that, we'd like to share that up on screen. Next week in Webinar Tuesday, we're actually going to be bringing to you, our audience, an introductory class on classical yoga. We spoke about mindfulness. We spoke about wanting to be meditative, to do yoga, and to practice something like yoga. So guess what? We've been fortunate to get in the very, very famous Sadhguru's team. Sadhguru designed this classical yoga program, which we're going to be bringing to you the next week on Webinar Tuesday. Now, you don't want to miss this. You want to make sure that you tell all your friends, because we're bringing it to you through our platform, Webinar Tuesday. We also have a LinkedIn group, so you can go in and follow us on that LinkedIn page. It's called Webinar Tuesday, so that we can keep you updated and abreast of what's happening. We thank you all for taking the time out to be with us this evening. Do follow us, do subscribe, do follow us on YouTube so you can catch a re-recording. Once again, a big thanks to all our three panelists for this evening's presentation, Mr. Chetan Sethi, Kiru Kishore, and Alistair M. D'Souza, for joining us all the way from Canada. Thank you so much for coming on, and I thank you, our audience. Without you, without our attendees, even the effort in putting this Webinar Tuesday together would be of inconsequence. So thank you so much. We wish you a great evening, and for all our Muslim brothers and sisters joining us on this call, a very, very happy Eid Mubarak to all of you, and don't binge on Eid sweets and biryani. Keep in mind that your health and wellness is important. Have a great evening wherever you are. God bless you.